Let's continue to read. Isaiah chapter 34, Judgment against the nations. Come near, you nations, and listen. Pay attention, you peoples. Let the earth hear and all that is in it, the world and all that comes out of it. The Lord is angry with all nations. His wrath is upon all their armies. He will totally destroy them. He will give them over to slaughter. Their slain will be thrown out. Their dead bodies will send up a stench. The mountains will be soaked with their blood. All the stars of the heavens will be dissolved, and the sky rolled up like a scroll. All the starry hosts will fall like withered leaves from the vine, like shriveled figs from the fig tree. Okay, I'm going to pause real quick. Take note of all of this, all of it. This is a prophecy. Again, this is a prophecy, and again, it's going to be picked back up in Revelation. So take note of all of this. Whatever you got to do, put in your mind, underline it, highlight it, etc. Take note of all of this. Let's continue to read. My sword was drunk its fill in the heavens. See, it descends in judgment on Edom. The people I have totally destroyed. The sword of the Lord is bathed in blood. It is covered with fat, the blood of lambs and goats, fat from the kidneys of rams. For the Lord has a sacrifice in Bozrah and a great slaughter in Edom. And the wild oxen will fall with them, the bull calves and the great bulls. Their land will be drenched with blood, and the dust will be soaked with fat. For the Lord has a day of vengeance, a year of retribution to uphold Zion's cause. Edom's streams will be turned into pitch, her dust into burning sulfur, and her land will become blazing pitch. It will not be quenched night and day. Its smoke will rise forever. From generation to generation, it will lie desolate. No one will ever pass through it again. The desert owl and screech owl will possess it. The great owl and the raven will nest there. God will stretch out over Edom the measuring line of chaos and the plume line of desolation. Her nobles will have nothing there to be called a kingdom. All her princes will vanish away. Thorns will overrun her citadels, nettles and brambles her strongholds. She will become a haunt for jackals, a home for owls. Desert creatures will meet with hyenas, and wild goats will bleat to each other. There, the night creatures will also repose and find for themselves places of rest. The owl will nest there and lay eggs. She will hatch them and care for her young under the shadow of her wings. There also the falcons will gather each with its mate. Look in the scroll of the Lord and read. None of these will be missing. Not one will lack her mate. For it is his mouth that has given the order, and his spirit will gather them together. He allots their portions. His hand distributes them by measure. They will possess it forever and dwell there from generation to generation. And so he's talking about what will happen. So we already know that Israel, okay, so this is again during Isaiah lives time during the king. So we already know that eventually Israel will be exiled. So he's talking about he's talking about multiple different things, events happening. So he's talking about the future then. So unfortunately, he knows that Israel's not going to continue to worship the Lord. They're going to be exiled. So he's also talking about the nations that they never helped, Edom and all these other nations that were around Israel never helped. They always looked down upon them. They didn't help at all. They also didn't worship the Lord. And so, and they also wanted harm, against. And so here you have Isaiah saying, okay, see all these nations, they're going to be conquered too. Even though Israel's going to go into exile for a little while, all these other nations are going to be conquered too, including the people who are going to exile Israel. Once Israel comes back, the people of Israel, leave from the exile, eventually Babylon, Assyria gets overthrown as well. So he's talking about that. He's talking about all the nations, but he's also talking about something in the future that, again, the book of Revelations will talk about. Listen to this portion in particular. All the stars of the heavens will be dissolved, and the sky rolled up like a scroll. All the starry host will fall like withered leaves from the vine, like shriveled figs from the fig tree. So what Isaiah here is telling us is a prophecy, and a prophecy that is to come. And that is to come, and we'll learn more about that in the book of Revelations. And so take note of that, particularly that verse, because that'll come back up. It'll come back up. I wanted to say almost verbatim, but it's going to come back up. So bringing past to present, though, understanding that in our lives, and I've talked about this before, how we can be wronged. Okay, that happens. And we want retribution, we want revenge. How about giving that to the Lord to deal with? You may have been pulled out of that situation. The Lord's grace, the Lord's mercy, the Lord fighting your battles. Now, continue to let the Lord deal with it, because he knows. And understand that the Lord will take care of you. And the Lord will fight our battles. Before we go on, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind when we read over this? How does it make you feel, and what does it make you think?